This is Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Boxing. You're watching Sporting Icons. You don't need to be anywhere else.
Now, you guys are going to like this video, and I encourage you guys to share it around. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure that you touch that subscribe button, turn it from red to subscribed. Touch it like you've just been given permission from the girl or man even of your dreams. Subscribe right now. Now, we're going to talk about integrity. And the reason that we're going to talk about integrity is because Mairis has spoken about integrity. Why? Because he has just withdrawn the WBC World Cruiserweight title, the vacant one, for Mairis Briedis versus Krzystof Glowacki, which happens today over in Latvia. But the WBO World Cruiserweight title will still be on the line. Now, we're going to get straight into Mairis' statement. Now, I want everybody to come back and challenge me anything that I've said in this video that is not factual. Okay, so this is not hate, this is not anything like that, this is all factual, okay, because he's talking about integrity. Anyway, this is what Mairis had to say, and we're going to go deep on that. So, Mairis' statement: the WBC withdraws its sanctioning of the Briedis versus Glowacki fight. The administrators of the World Boxing Super Series tournament have failed to maintain the integrity of the bout and have disregarded the WBC rules and regulations. The WBC strongly rejects the unfortunate discrimination and abuse of power that's been directed against the integrity of our institution. The WBC will evaluate its continuing participation in the remaining WBSS World Boxing Super Series bouts in Season 2 and will announce its decision soon. So that is Mairis' statement, the president of the WBC. So as you can see there, he's talking about integrity. Why? This is why we're talking about integrity in this video. So we're going to see the integrity of Mairis and the WBC. As I said, all factual. So let's stick with the World Boxing Super Series just for now, and then we're going to move on to some other ones as well. Now, for this one, first of all, they put their vacant title, which of course Alexander Usyk has vacated it, on the line for this fight. As I said, the WBO will still be on the line, but the WBC originally put it on the line for this fight. Now, why did they do that? Well, very simple, money. And the reason why they've done that is because it's happening in Latvia. Mairis Briedis is a huge star in Latvia. It's a World Boxing Super Series semi-final, etc. Okay, so they put it on the line, even though the WBO World title is also on the line. But here's the real kicker. Mairis Briedis and Krzystof Glowacki, both of them, are not ranked in the top 15 of the WBC World Rankings by their own rules. Again, Mairis was talking about the WBSS keeping within their rules and the integrity, etc, but yet they put their vacant title on the line for this fight when not one of them two are ranked in the top 15. The rules are you can only challenge for the world title if you are ranked in the top 15. Is that not right, Mairis? So why do you put it on the line? Let's look at the other semi-final, Tabiti versus Dorticus. These guys are ranked number 2 and number 3 in the world rankings of the WBC Cruiserweight division. So why was the title not put on the line for them? Again, money, that's why. And yeah, he wants to talk about integrity. Unbelievable, right? So let's keep with the integrity of Mairis. Okay, listen, outside of boxing and whatever else, he may be a real nice guy. He does a lot of things for charity. This is not a personal attack on him or his organisation, but this is more a case of we're pointing out some facts because he wants to talk about integrity. So let's move over to... let's look at recent history with Adonis Stevenson when he was WBC Light Heavyweight World Champion. How long was he champion for? He was champion for quite some time. How many title fights did he have? How many times did he defend that title? Not many. How long was Elida Alvarez the mandatory? For quite some time, right? Did he ever get his world title shot? No. But yet WBC kept allowing Elida Alvarez to take step-aside money. But yet these guys want to talk about integrity. Okay, cool. Let's talk about Vasyl Lomachenko, the fact that he is a champion of 2 other sanctioning bodies, but yet he's now allowed to fight for the vacant WBC title against Luke Campbell, who is the mandatory, ahead of other ones like a Devin Haney or maybe a Teofimo Lopez, other ones like that. But Vasyl Lomachenko is, listen, I have no issues with this fight whatsoever, I'm just saying, okay, but Vasyl Lomachenko is allowed to fight for the vacant title against Luke Campbell. Why? Because it's more money, that's why. Of course, they want Vasyl Lomachenko as their champion. Of course they do. Money. You see, it's all about money. Money makes the world go around for the WBC. Let's move on, shall we? Let's move on to the heavyweight division, shall we? Deontay Wilder. He's been champion for 4.5 years, and yet it's only fought 2 mandatories. By your own rules, Mauricio Sulaiman and the WBC, a WBC champion must defend their title at least once a year. These are the facts, these are the rules. Yeah, he's done it twice in 4.5 years. Not only that, he's allowed to fight Luis Ortiz next, a guy who he only beat just over a year ago. Luis Ortiz, who fought 3 lesser people, shall we say, bums, gatekeepers, journeymen, whatever you want to call them, and now is allowed to have a rematch with Deontay Wilder. Luis Ortiz, who has history of failing PEDs. Luis Ortiz, who was failing the medical 1 hour before the ring walk before he fought Wilder the first time. And yet now he's allowed to have a rematch against Deontay Wilder. Why? Because Deontay Wilder is allowed to do whatever he wants. This is the whole point. Deontay Wilder has fought who since become champion? Who exactly? He's been fighting people who are not even ranked in the top 15, top 10 of the world. Like Arthur Spilker, Johan Duapa, Chris Arreola, all these kind of guys. Yet you guys want to talk about integrity. Tyson Fury, he got a world title shot against Deontay Wilder after 2.5, 3 years out of the ring. Cocaine abuse, alcohol, ballooned up in weight, had severe mental issues. Lost his boxing license. Yeah, he comes back, fights 2 school teachers. And automatically the WBC rank him in the top 3 of the WBC. Why did they do that, do you think? Why? Because it gives some kind of validity to Wilder wanting to fight Tyson Fury, knowing full well Tyson Fury wasn't ready. Didn't quite work out how Wilder wanted it to, but either way, Tyson Fury, he got screwed out of that win. And Wilder got gifted a draw. But the point is, listen, I'm a massive Tyson Fury fan, but we're going by their rules. The rules are, you cannot be ranked by the WBC if you are not enrolled in the WBC Clean Boxing Program, i.e. VADA. Tyson Fury was not ranked. Sorry, Tyson Fury was ranked, but he wasn't enrolled in the WBC Clean Boxing Program. In fact, he didn't enroll until about, 2-3 weeks before the fight. So how was he ranked in the first place? Did they bend the rules? Of course they did. Is Mauricio Sulaiman WBC acting with integrity? No, not at all. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad that Tyson Fury got the opportunity. Of course I am. He's a Brit. Dillian Whyte has been number 1 for coming up 600 days. And a world title shot against Wilder is still nowhere in sight. Never in the history of the sport has anybody through across any sanctioning body been number 1 in the WBC, been ranked number 1 in the WBC, WBO, WBA, IBF, whatever, and not got a world title shot. Never in the history has this happened. Yet it's happening. Yet Mauricio Sulaiman wants to talk about integrity. Dillian Whyte, who's been fighting all legitimate top 10 contenders in the WBC rankings. He's WBC silver champion. Yet he's still not mandatory. Yet a fight with Wilder is still nowhere in sight, because he's not going to order it. But yet, Mauricio Sulaiman was quite happy to order a rematch between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. Not only that, but giving Tyson Fury 40% of the split, rather than the usual 30%. Tyson Fury pulled out. But yet these guys can quite happily order Wilder versus Tyson Fury, but they're not going to order Wilder versus Dillian Whyte. How does that work out? They're quite happy to make Dominic Breazeale mandatory after fighting Eric Molina. Forget the instances behind it with the Bermane Stiverne fight and everything, but that's what they did. Ahead of Dillian Whyte, and these guys want to talk about integrity. How is any of this got anything to do with the legitimate integrity of the WBC? So Wilder is now allowed to fight Luis Ortiz, then maybe Adam Kownacki, and then back-to-back fights with Tyson Fury, and Dillian Whyte not get a world title shot against Wilder. So how much longer is he going to have to wait? You're going to be talking, another 18 months or so, at least. So 18 months plus the 4.5 years Wilder's already been champion. That would be 6 years and only 2 mandatories, when your rules quite clearly state once a year. And you guys want to talk about integrity. Okay, fine. Every time there's some kind of special bout going on, the WBC have to stick their face in. I'm sick to death of seeing Mauricio Sulaiman's stupid-looking Cheshire Grin face without holding that WBC belt that they have just created for that fight. It's cringe-worthy. It's embarrassing. I cringe every time I see it. Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor, they made a special belt. Canelo versus Triple G 1. Canelo versus Triple G Part 2. Both times, Cinco de Mayo, they made special belts for it. They made a special belt for Canelo versus Chavez Jr. A special belt for Canelo versus Jacobs. They were even making a special belt for Amir Khan versus Indian lad. And they're calling it the WBC Asian Pearl Championship. Why WBC want to get involved? Why? Because there could be some money to be made on this one. Because the fight's happening in Saudi Arabia, rich with gold and oil, right? It's all about money. And these guys want to talk about integrity. So am I missing the point here when he's mentioned about integrity and how he's going to pull out the fight? Please tell me what integrity that the WBC have. Let's go with the fact that the WBC, look up and down their rankings, are littered with PBC fighters. PBC fighters get more opportunities than any other fighter, with the exception of Canelo, who's not PBC, of course. Let's talk about the fact that the WBC president, Mauricio Suleiman, had a meeting with Mendoza from the WBA to go behind Anthony Joshua's back to hopefully not have Anthony Joshua versus Andy Ruiz Jr. the rematch, even though Joshua did give Andy Ruiz Jr. a voluntary. But these guys are going behind Joshua's back. Hopefully that the WBC and the WBA are just coming together to put on undisputed against Wilder versus Andy Ruiz Jr. Listen, they still need the IBF and WBO permission, but still, they're still colluding behind the back, even though there's a contract in place for a rematch. Yet they never had the same energy and the same purpose when Joshua was champion. Why? Because Wilder just wasn't going to beat Joshua. They had no confidence in Wilder. But they're quite confident with Andy Ruiz. But even if Andy Ruiz Jr. was to beat Wilder, they're okay with that. Because Mauricio Suleiman is Mexican. Andy Ruiz Jr. is Mexican. Unbelievable. These guys want to talk about integrity. Brett Yormark. He's on the Supreme Council of the WBC. Very influential guy. He runs the Barclays Center, where PBC guys fight, right? In New York. He's also on the payroll of Al Heyman. Works for Heyman Sports. The PBC. Conflict of interest much? Oh, is what it is, right? As I said, I'm not accusing. Everything that I've said in this video is fact. People may not like it. Some people may not like it. But if you do, make sure you click that thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Because when Mauricio Suleiman wants to talk about integrity, does he really have much? I don't know. That's questionable, isn't it? All we want as boxing fans is the WBC to keep the tradition going for the WBC, where they have a rich history of super fights and the right fights happening at the right times. But lately, it doesn't seem to be happening. The WBC keeps on creating like these trinket titles. They even tried to give the title to the Pope, the leader of the Catholic Church. Come on now. They even wanted to get on in the movie of Creed. Please, Sylvester Stallone, please let us in your movie. Yeah, here you go. Here's a belt. It's cringeworthy. And these guys want to talk about integrity. For me, the WBC should just say, listen, we're going to have our fights and you guys are not invited. You ain't getting no sanctioning fee out of us. And I wish that all fighters would do that until the WBC buck up their ideas. Starting with ensuring that Dillian Whyte, if he defeats Oscar Rivas, is not only mandatory, but he gets Wilder next. No in-betweens, but next. Outside of that, I'm not seeing too much integrity from Mauricio Suleiman. So take your little WBC Cruiserweight World title, take it home. Because ultimately, you guys are turning into the IBO. In fact, the IBO may actually replace you the way that you guys are going. Anyway, drop your thoughts below, click thumbs up, and of course subscribe. Catch you all on the next video.